Now, you can probably hear the birds chirping in the back, or the wind blowing, or vehicles moving up and down. That's because I'm recording from outside today. That's right. We're outside in the nature. I feel like the scary part about what I'm doing right now is that people are just walking up and down and they just see a guy. Well, to be fair, I have a microphone and my laptop is here because my mic is connected to the laptop. So it almost feels like I'm in a meeting, but outdoors. Um, but yeah, the main purpose of this episode is a conversation. It's actually an extension of a conversation I was having with my friend on how it feels weird that a lot of things are changing for us right now. And for this segment, I'm probably going to touch on me mostly because it is about me. But I would like to hear what you guys are going through. I'd like to also know what my audience are going through. You know, what's changing in your life. Like I said, there are no cuts. I know that kind of hurts me a bit because there are things that I found out when I listened back to the first episode of The Next Big Thing that I was repeating myself. You know, I was repeating myself, obviously, and I said I'm going to write down the points. But the challenge, this is a challenge, right? And the point of this whole thing is that I get it right. I mess up until I get it right. I'm going to record and I'm not going to edit. Even this one, I'm not going to edit. Now, many would say the intro is too long, just get to the point, you know what I'm saying? And all of this stuff. But I say this episode, this podcast rather, is not for people that are impatient. This what I'm doing now on the side is the next big thing. It's not for people that are impatient or don't want to learn. It's people those ones that want to stay back, that want to stay behind and really get to know Mutafuleni on a deeper level. Really get to know the community on a deeper level. This is for you guys. So let's get into it. Right. Change. Right now, um actually let me circle back to when change really started for me. When it really was a big deal. Shortly after matric, went into a gap year. And then from that gap year, then went into university. Now, people don't know, most of my change happened between matric, me finishing matric, and then the gap year. Brother, gap year, yeesh. I think that the bad thing for me that I did was not listen to myself. Not listen to myself in the sense of I didn't ask myself how I was doing. You know, how are you? You know, are you good? Do you guys ask yourself the question like, how are you? How am I today? How are you feeling? To you, you must ask yourself this because you begin to not know who you are. Now I know this is, it sounds deep or whatever. Some people would call it, man, it really doesn't make sense what you're saying. You're trying to make something deep where it's not. I would like you to listen to me and how I speak to people. If you know me in real life, then you know this is really how I speak now. Especially now, it wasn't like this back then, but now I really take the time to talk about mental health and to talk about the different processes because I feel like it's ignored and that's the issue. And I ignored it, and obviously it caused a lot of problems for me. So what I was saying, right? Sorry, there are people in the back and they're kind of making me lose my train of thought. Um, Mental health is important to look at and to pay attention to because I ignored it and then it built up. It became. I'm not like guys when I say these things and I share these stories with you. Please don't think that I've now conquered life or I've solved this problem. You know, I'm also going through it. I'm also trying to find it, find my feet where I'm at. So when you listen to this, I'd just like you to listen and just if you have a story, and I always say this, please share it in the comments. You know, and if you can relate, then good. And if you can learn something, even better. And that's why I have this platform. So yes, going back to what I was talking about, gap year. Took a gap year, and that gap year allowed me to think very, very much. Like there's no deeper thing to that. I was thinking a lot. You know, what do I want to be really? You know, um, is this really for me? This is taking time. You know, um, why is it that this music is not expanding as much as it needs to? Why is it that the podcast is not moving as much as it needs to? Now, obviously, a part of me in all this doubt and because it happens frequently, the gap year thing, it wasn't the first time it happened. It happens almost every time that I'm challenged really hard, in my creative aspect. So I began to ask myself these questions: Is it really worth it? Can I just go another route? Is there anything on the others? Guys, to me, I don't see anything outside media. That's just me. And for other people, they might feel the same for something else. For example, they might not see anything outside maybe the health sciences or anything of that sort. Whatever your dream is, maybe you don't see anything outside that. For me, it happens to be media because you guys know I do a lot. I'm a podcast host. I'm a presenter, broadcast presenter, musician, writer, composer, DJ. No, I'm joking. I'm not a DJ, but I do like DJing. So some point in my life, I'm going to learn it. These are things that I was like. These are questions of doubt that I begin to ask myself. Um, and I didn't pay attention to it because I was changing. It was changing. It was change. Basically, my life was changing at that time. It changed immensely. And basic things also that I feel like we should not ignore are things that bother us. Now, this is not bad things that happen to us because when I say things that bother you, you're probably thinking of something that someone said that you have a problem with, or someone you have a problem with, or something you don't like. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about things that genuinely bother us. I'll make an example. During my now even not even during my gap year alone. Now I miss my friends. I miss my friends and I miss high school. I know that sounds crazy to say because my high school peers would tell you now they don't, and that I always found that concept weird actually. But you know what? It is what it is. Be that as it may, we all had different experiences as teenagers, but I really do miss my friends. And there was a time where I missed them so much that it was a problem. Like it was, oh damn, when like, bro, you miss someone so much that it hurts. Like I miss this, and why do you miss that so much? Maybe you miss yourself during that timeline. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I'm speaking for me, not for you guys. I realized that soon after I wasn't living the same. I wasn't the same. So I missed that optimistic guy, that guy that just had it. That guy that just had the systems that were working. That guy that just had relationships that were working. When I say relationships, I'm not talking romantic. I'm talking about genuine day-to-day social relationships. I didn't have that, right? And that's what I was also missing alongside the love of my friends. Genuinely, I just miss them. And I know they're listening now. Shout out to you guys and girls. So, change, pay attention to it. And what it's doing to you, pay attention to that even more. Now, being where I am, a lot of you know that I'm in uni now, and I've spoken about this on multiple occasions. That is a big change for me as well. And I'm not now, it's like it's weird because it's like I'm learning myself. I'm learning myself. When I was a kid, I was learning myself. Now I'm even learning myself. I'm learning myself still, and I'm not gonna be the same person, every year. I'm not gonna be the same person every season. So that should should tell you that you're never gonna have the answer. Sometimes people ask you these questions like, "Oh, what do you want to be? Who do you want to be in 10 years?" You don't ever really have the question because you're not gonna be the same person as you go. Right now, well, if you asked me 5 years ago what I wanted to do, I definitely would have said music. Without a doubt, I'm pretty sure my friends could back me up. Those that went to high school with me, I'm pretty sure you guys would know. I would have, I would have said music. I want to do music, and this is the only thing I want to do. But then, as it went on, my uni friends would tell you that this guy's mad. Music, yeah, he can do it, but we see him as a presenter. We see him as someone in the media space. We see him as this. And then maybe even next year or the year after, it's going to change. Hopefully, it all stays in the same lane. Do you see? Like my thing I was lucky to have something that stays because I'm, like I said, I'm in the media space. So I was lucky to have something that stays in that lane. But do you get where I'm getting at here? It, I mean, not it. Yes, it. You're gonna change. You're gonna change every season. So don't think that you have the answers. And you know why I brought that up is because during change or when you're changing into a new environment, and change can be, it can be anything. But I'm talking about bigger change. I'm not talking about you changing your clothes. Come on. I'm talking about big change. You maybe moving into a new space. You going from one place to another in your life, like literally going to one from one chapter rather to another. That's what I'm talking about. That's the type of change I'm talking about. You shouldn't keep the old structures and systems and what was going on, guys. I cannot run my studio the same way I ran it last year. It's physically impossible. I cannot go out and have more photo shoots. I could do that last year because I had the time. Now I can't because I'm in school. And the previous year, I couldn't have ran the studio in 2025 the way I did it when I was in matric. Do you see what I'm saying? It's different. And when you're going into a different space or a different chapter, treat it the same. Don't pull those old structures, those old ideas and beliefs that you had. Learn new things. And I'll say this to people: allow yourself to be, for lack of a better term, fluid. Allow yourself to be free enough to adapt, right? To learn new things, to allow things in your life. Have you ever thought outside your own beliefs, like genuinely? Why do you think that other people have this belief? Have you ever like sat down and said, "Hey, I like blue, but you like red. Why do you like red so much?" Have you thought about that? Have you had that conversation with people? Obviously, like I said, dang, I sound weird and wise. Is the best way for me to put it right now. I've just recently been interested in talking to people deeper than what the shallow, conversation. Hi, how are you? When you're talking to me, we're talking like this. You're telling me things that are bothering you. You're telling me where your mental space is at. You're telling me how you are. Are you taking care of yourself now? You know what I'm saying? Change is such a weird concept to me. Like I said, because you're probably wondering where's this guy going with this episode. But those of you that are following and listening to me, you shouldn't be asking yourself that question. You should be able to take one or two things from what I'm saying. Change is beautiful if you allow it to be, but it can also be detrimental if you allow it to be. Do you get what I'm saying? Don't think that it's a bad thing. It's a good thing. But at the same time, don't think that your old habits, because I just told you to let go of everything, right? In the past, as you're changing and go into the new space. Don't now completely deviate from your old self. You're also going to lose yourself a bit. There's like a bit of a clutch balance there. And let me explain it like this. I miss my high school friends. I really do. Even now I do. However, that shouldn't, keep me from making new friends here. Just because I missed them and they were my friends doesn't mean that I'm not allowed to make new friends here. So I made new friends. But then, in making new friends, it doesn't mean that I shouldn't allow myself to miss them. Do you understand? Because there's this as guys, I'm gonna target the guys here, the guys that are listening. Please don't be fooled into this thing of I don't know, this notion of guys are emotionless or whatever. I don't know. I don't believe in any of that, honestly. And this platform, we don't stand by that. We stand by people expressing themselves, people talking, because this is what it is. You have discussions with people have stopped talking, and that's why we are where we are. That's why we have this such a high rate in mental in things that build up to mental problems. It's because people are not talking about it, and they don't allow themselves to talk about that, and they don't allow their friends to talk to them because they think it's weird, right? You think this is weird. If it's your first time knowing me, like it's your first time, you would think it's weird that I come to you and I say, "Oh, how are you?" and then you say I'm fine. I'm like, how are you really? How are you really feeling about moving into res from from living with your parents your whole life? How does that make you feel? You're asking too deep, right? You're being too deep. And those are the conversations that you should have. I don't understand, because for me, that I'm not gonna lie, for me that shows a sense of maturity, in that you're able to have that conversation and hold it and actually mean something. I mean, take something from it and fuel and put meaning into it. I feel like you have matured in a way. That's my takeaway from that. I feel like you should start really having these conversations with people you love. Go to someone that's gonna take you seriously. I mean, go to someone that's going to take it seriously. If you go to someone that's gonna clown you for wanting to talk about real stuff, maybe they're not ready to open up to the change I'm talking about, right? Maybe they know the change, they notice it, but they don't want to go and act on it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they're in that season of change, but they don't want to acknowledge it. Going back to what I was saying. Dang, this episode is longer than I thought. But that's what happens, when you're passionate about things and you just want to speak like me. Yeah, I talk too much, so I brought it here. uh, Changing, man. You guys can see I'm even changing myself. Even the brand is changing. Everything is changing. Oh my days. Season's changing. It's getting colder. Please, guys, keep yourself safe out there. I'll come in, of course, every now and then. I'm gonna drop a gem like this. Let me know if you like this type of content, and of course, please let me know what you're going through. I'm really doing badly with comments. I really am. Engagement in itself is something that I'm working on, and it only happens if my people, which are you guys, tell me how you feel about the episodes. What should I do? What should I talk about next? Um, should I bring someone over on the podcast? By the way, should I bring someone on the podcast? Yes, tell me, guys. Connect it. Talk to me. If you just don't talk to me, it just feels like there's no community. It feels like there's no connection between us, and I know that there is. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching, subscribing, and everything that you do. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.